Hello, and welcome to the podcast preview of the Week 2 games for NFL Week 2 2020. Noting that Thursday night football, Friday morning our time, is the clash of the Ohio clans, and it's a shame we don't have American Crow on to preview that, but we all know how much he'd be in love with the Browns. Does OBGA start the game as a member of the Browns, or does he get traded? So, follow-up question, and we might start with Fui, given you're the only winner on the panel. You can be the winner that takes the first question. Follow-up question, if OBJ does start, does Baker Mayfield use him more than 3 times during the game?
I don't think he'll be traded just yet. I think his cap number is probably a bit high from what I recall. So, yeah, he's probably got a few more games in the Browns uniform just yet. They're such an enigma, the Browns.
Jeez, Fui, that's a revelation.
See, to me, it just makes it really difficult to comment on them because they're frustrating, and there's no reason. I think the main reason why they suck, and I've seen it been brought up here and there, is just the culture. It can't be the coaches. They've gone through 3 coaches, or they're probably going to go through 3 coaches in almost as many years. It's got to be the players and the mental side that they clearly can't deal with. So,
Fui, just use the phrase "factory of sadness."
I think it's a factory of sadness in Cleveland.
Okay, cut. Thank you. Never fucking throwing to you again. Blackie, Allen Robinson. Who does he go to? And is it foregone that Belichick is already out there measuring up OBJ's cleats to slot him into a Patriots uniform?
No, I don't think so at all. I think their philosophy looks like it's changed. I think they look like a run-first team. I think they'll probably continue to kick the tires on N'Keal Harry. I think he's actually not that bad of a receiver for Cam, given he's a possession guy, which probably suits Cam at this point in his career. Edelman's still there. If I was them, I'd be going Allen Robinson instead. Allen Robinson's proven that he can produce without top quarterback play, and you get a tenth of the drama you get with OBJ. That's it. I can't.
My God, you just nailed that. You just absolutely nailed that. I could not agree with you more. I was so hoping you'd say, "Oh yeah, Patriots are going for OBJ," but my God, you just nailed it. It's and Belichick is such a no drama person, isn't he?
Yeah, without a doubt, OBJ would get eaten alive. But I suspect if I'm the Bears, I probably am looking to get a contract done with Robinson. I think he's definitely the type of guy that you would want with a rookie QB, which is, I suspect, where they'll end up sooner rather than later. Not that I don't think Anthony Miller's a really good player, but this day and age, you need 2 good wide receivers.
Hang on. You're saying that Foles isn't going to save the Bears?
If he can't beat out Trubisky, I don't give him much hope.
Follow-up question: how the fuck do I get a contract for $37 million to sit on a bench with my jacket on all day?
You got to win a Super Bowl MVP.
Oh, easy then.
I was going to say just change out of the tracksuit pants for you, wouldn't it?
Maybe comb the beard occasionally. Yeah, the mullet's about 3 inches long now because it hasn't been cut.
You got the 37 million. You just don't have the suit. Get out of the trackies, mate. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm working on a different sort of look for my 37 million, which is a nice segue to my question for Brasher, which is Seattle. Because I know they're your favourite team after the 49ers. We did talk quite a lot about how the lack of a crowd would hurt them. They didn't seem to be the same Seattle, yet Wilson was just Wilson. How are they going to go? Do you think Cardinals will ultimately have a better season? Or is it more kind of a week of blips where
It's week 1. Atlanta is a long way short of being a defensive powerhouse. There is arguably there's no more important player to his team than Russ Wilson is to the Seattle Seahawks. Put probably 25 other starting quarterbacks behind that line, and we're having the Wentz conversation. He is that good. I hate it. I respect him, but he is that good. Atlanta's defense is all over the place, and there's a common theme. Probably the only exception from week 1 that had a significantly revamped defensive backfield that actually performed reasonably was the Jacksonville Jaguars. Just about anyone else struggled. Whether it be missed assignments, rookies making rookie mistakes, coaches being deals like Blackie pointed out with Simmons before, getting ahead of themselves at the end of the day on where they were. It's week one. It's not week one. It's the first real game, right? First of the year. So he went up against an Atlanta Falcons team that I'd want to see a little bit bigger sample to know how good or bad they are defensively. I don't think they've got much of a pass rush to count for, and their defensive backs I wouldn't rank them in the top half of the league, that's for sure. But give him credit where credit due, he played well.
I guess for me anyway, the battle of the two most underperforming quarterbacks not named Wentz. Will the Colts suck again, or will Kirk Cousins turn it around and throw to Adam Thielen for 5 touchdowns? Noting that it is in a dome and it's hosted by Indianapolis.
So what is the question?
Who sucks more? Kirk Cousins or Phillip Rivers?
For a team that got to the playoffs last year, Minnesota did everything in their power as the front office to shoot themselves in the foot. They really only had one thing they had to go do. Go find another wide receiver, which I think they've done, and sort out the defensive backfield. In the process, they sort of tinkered with a whole bunch of other stuff. And I don't know if Minnesota's going to be as good as, or I don't think they're on an ascension at the moment. Okay. And Cousins is what Cousins is. Okay. You've seen the best of what he is. He won't lose too many games for you, but he needs a fully functional team around him on both sides of the ball to take his team anywhere in the playoffs. On the other hand, the Colts, and it's one of the reasons why I want to see the Jags game again, or look at it closer to see if the Jags were that good, or whether the Phillip Rivers thing is, just see if he can continue his trend of throwing about 1.5 intercepts per game so they can tank and get the number 1 pick in the draft and get Lawrence.
Blackie, are you going to go spoiler alert and tell Brash what he missed by not watching the magnificence that is Phil Rivers, or are you going to leave him to watch that himself?
Just Phil in general. I think, let's say something specific, I think what I saw from that is I've never seen a guy check down more.
Aaron Rodgers has met his match.
Oi.
The only thing saving him is he doesn't have Love behind him. He was, just checking down. He checks down to running back more than any one of them. So.
All right, we'll follow up because, being a fan of the Swans and the Broncos, you've got an eye for outstanding talent. Probably the 2 games of the week that I really want your insight into are, firstly, arguably 2 of the worst teams of week 1, Giants and Bears. Does Danny Dimes turn it around? And does Mitch Trubisky pull off another come-from-behind miracle win and suddenly become a 2-0 quarterback? Perhaps the least deserving 2-0 quarterback in the league?
No.
There were multiple questions. Which one are you saying no to? Come on.
All of them.
I think the latter. Yeah, look, I can't. I think Trubisky played really bad for 3 quarters, and then the Lions did what the Lions do. Trufant went out, and that just made it. And Okuda's out as well. I think it just meant that they couldn't cover these guys. Trubisky was actually decent in the 4th quarter. Lions shot themselves in the foot. He could have easily had a nightmare day out. I think Danny Dimes, outside of one really, really appalling decision to throw the ball when he was being tackled and throw an interception on the goal line, I think it was the longest drive ever that ended in an interception.
And it was a thing of beauty. It wasn't just a gentle interception. Brash, Baltimore is playing Houston. Were the Ravens really that good, or is Deshaun Watson going to show up their defense?
Deshaun Watson won't be showing up their defense because I think the Texans are on the decline. They were very ordinary on I didn't see a lot to get excited about with them.
So was that one of your 7 games? Did you actually put yourself through the pain of watching them?
That would have been the season kickoff, so yeah. So I did watch that one end to end. I don't understand what Houston are trying to accomplish. Maybe one of you guys can help me. I don't know if they're...
the only thing I can think of is they were trying to get a ring for DeAndre Hopkins.
They traded him to the wrong NFC West team then. Probably right, actually, with that. Hopkins and Wilson, yeah. Let me just really enjoy my night. I don't know why. Like, what's J.J. Watts doing lining up at 3-technique defensive tackle? Like, what is that?
Against their best lineman.
Against their best lineman with a scat back who got to give you an idea how strong, as awesome as his debut was. And seriously, like, it's like Kansas City just went to a 3D printer and printed out this guy and plugged him in at their running back, and he goes and runs for 100 yards like he'd been there forever. We used to get excited about guys like Reggie Bush when they came out of college. This guy's already done more than Reggie Bush did in one game, and it was at the end of the first round. So you got a scat back like that, and you go and play JJ Watson against their best offensive lineman when the only chance you had of beating Kansas City, you're not going to outscore them. The only chance you had was to try and upset the pace or the tempo of Mahomes. That's the only chance you got of winning. So I don't know what Houston's on about, what they're trying to accomplish.
Follow-up question, and probably slightly too pointed, but we'll see how we go. Which of the kickers is worse in the Jaguars-Titans game?
Which of the kickers? The one that started for the turkey giblets, of course. There's no one else to count. -1, mate. What part of that don't you get? Defense,
well, the one for the Titans actually had a worse score, but he kicked the winning field goal, so that got him back over the line.
Yeah, there's that's like that movie Poltergeist, right? Even though you move house, the ghost goes with you. So they've left Belichick, right? The ghost is there, mate. Brady's going to end up. He's not going to do his legacy any good over the next 2 years, mate. In Tampa Bay, he's going to end up. There will be guys on the forum like GG who'll be calling him a system quarterback by the end of it.
Trying to trade him for a 5th-round pick.
It'll be before the end of the month.
I was going to leave this one because you guys have preempted me. I was going to leave this one for the quarterback whisperer because we all know how great we are to be blessed by the presence of the quarterback whisperer. But Fooey, given Brash has brought it up, has Bruce Arians, however you say his name, has he mistreated the great legacy that is Tom Brady? And is Gazelle going to send all sorts of nasty looks Brucey's way? Or is it really the first time that he's faced some well-deserved criticism? Because, and I have to give him credit, it sounds like he's taking the criticism far better than Mr. Yeah, some other dude did when he was criticised by a coach that's not his coach anymore.
I would take it from a slightly different angle. What I got from the comments was probably a bit more of an alpha dog marking his turf, basically saying he's the boss and don't get.
Was he just saying he's the boss, or was he saying this guy's not my pick? This guy's not my pick. I didn't pick this guy. I didn't pick this guy.
It could be a bit of both, I guess. But obviously, it's something that Tom probably hasn't been accustomed to. Were they his fault? Possibly. Was it the receiver? Only Tom and Bruce and the receivers really know. But
I think Bruce has indicated that it might have been Brady's.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
If you read between the lines.
Yeah. Oh, it was subtle, wasn't it? It was super subtle. If they hadn't leaked that photo of the whiteboard in the background where he said Brady sucks balls, nobody would have ever known, would they? Really, it was so subtle.
That's right. I was like in between interpreting where he actually called out specific passes and where he should have thrown it as opposed to where he did. Yeah, it took me a few reads, but I finally comprehended that there was a hidden message there that he wasn't that happy with Mr. Brady.
It was that bit where he said, lacks grit and determination. The dude's won 6 freaking Super Bowl rings, Brucey. You just said he... Anyway.
Was Brady any better or worse than Jameis Winston? They might as well kept Winston.
I think 2 things for me. He's probably trying to piss him off because he will go God mode. And 2, he's made a habit of calling people out. So he's probably just showing everyone in the team that no one's bigger than the team.
Yep. Yeah. I applaud him for that, if that was his motive.
But what if they weren't Tom's fault? How do you think that would go down?
I'm sure they were his fault. I think that's the point.
They were his fault. They were terrible throws.
So were Wentz's, and bloody Doug Peterson didn't come out and put Wentz on the pedestal and put a pike up his butt.
Yeah, but in fairness, I think Blackie's hit it on the head. I think this is a lot of people come to, a lot of snowbirds come to Florida for retirement. You ain't going to be one of them, right?
Whereas Brucey's just there for a nice, gentle challenge. Yeah, right. Everybody on that team has taken a fucking paycheck. It's like the Gold Coast Suns in the NFL.
Bruce Arians basically died, got resurrected, and came back to coach his team. He's not screwing around here. Yeah? He's not doing it for fun. He's
Oh, why the hell didn't he keep Winston then?
and he's got
30 for 30.
and he's got a damn talented roster. He's got most pieces, yeah, and he probably thinks his time is now. You wouldn't sign Brady if you didn't think your time was now to win the division. So of course he'd be pissed off losing a divisional game the way Brady lost. And meanwhile, over in New England, his replacement's playing for 5% the salary that Tom Brady's playing for.
And winning, just quietly. Admittedly against the Dolphins, but still winning.
Ran for more yards than any other New England quarterback has run this century in a game.
If they lose again, if the Bucks lose again to the relatively lowly rated Panthers, how many comments does Brucey Boy make? Does it become another Alistair Clarkson shit show where we blame the referees, or does he get stuck into Tommy again?
It depends if it's Brady's fault. I think if it's Brady's fault, he absolutely will. If Brady plays well and they still lose, then he won't blame him. I think Arians is pretty straight. I don't think he's a game player. I don't think he's Malcolm Blight, calling out pathetic Pittman, right? No, I think he'll call it as he is.
Blackie, am I right in perhaps being slightly pessimistic that the Buccaneers win a game before week 4?
Oh, I don't think you can discount them. A few things they did were puzzling. I think they didn't run Fournette enough. I think, Mike Evans has got a hamstring issue. He caught one pass, it was a touchdown, but then Arians come out and said they need to get the ball to him more, so I don't really know what the story is there. I think they've actually got some really good pieces on their defense too, but they'll take some time to gel. There's no doubt, but they've got quite a few good players on the offensive side. Goblin, Evans, they've got two pretty good tight ends.
So what you're saying is really Aldat should get his hopes up for an actual Panthers win, yeah?
No.
No, they had their day in the sun.
But it's Tampa. Isn't the sun always out in Tampa?
No, it's definitely not. No, yeah, I think they'll bounce back, and I do suspect that Arians is trying to put a chip on Brady's shoulder.
Yep.
We'll stick with you, Blackie, because you got an insight into really weak secondaries. Probably the worst matchup in terms of pure secondaries and pure defense in the league. Falcons Cowboys. How does that one go?
I think we'll probably see 1,000 passing.
Yeah.
Yep.
You reckon that's right, Fooey? Is it really the case of Aaron Rodgers is not as good a quarterback as the one that throws for 1,000 yards in the Falcons game? At what point does Matt Ryan throw for so many receptions that his arm falls off?
Yeah, Ryan's coming off a 450-yard game. We know Prescott can put up yards, and I'm saying this, but all the signs are pointing to, a huge offensive game for both teams. So I'm going to probably put money on the complete opposite because I'm never right. So yeah.
You like the GG of the podcast, yeah? I like it.
I am, yeah.
Brash, your views? The Falcons and the Cowboys are clearly not the most capable defenses.
Well, I'm glad you stuck to your word because you said at the opening that we're going to discuss a few of the least followed or lower exposure teams. So I'm glad you picked the Dallas.
Well, I just want to see if Chisholm's listening because I want to know, when he mashes the report button 12 times, then I'll know that he's listening.
I think, did either of these clubs get better in the off season? That's my question.
That's a really good question, actually. That's a really good question.
I don't think not either of them did. To see Aldon Smith as their only viable defensive player,
he was good.
Right?
He was very good, considering how long he's been out for. Yeah.
The only thing I could even have stomached him playing for Seattle. Of all the clubs to go to, why did you have to go there? Like seriously, and we've got
because he's got a criminal record.
Yeah, I know, and that's Jerry Jones. I'll take all the bits and pieces, linebackers that I can find. Yeah, Aldon Smith. I'm so pleased for him. I hope the scar from the locator bracelet on his ankle that he's had for the last 5 years wears off soon. But it was awesome to see him out there. It really was. He was just a man that got caught up in his own demons when it's all said and done, and did some very bad things, which are inexcusable. And I was pleased to see him out there. He will be the best defensive player on the field, which is an indictment, I think, against both these two teams.
How long has he been out for?
5.
Yeah, that says it all, doesn't it? And legitimately, he will definitely be the best, especially with Van Der Esch out hurt. He will definitely be the best defensive player on the field.
It's good to see him back. He looks fitter than he did when he was during the 49ers Super Bowl run under Harbaugh. I just don't know if either team got better. This is going to be a track meet, right? This is going to be a billion trillion points, providing Prescott plays better. Because there's two things. If there's a stat for a quarterback who throws for 400 yards in a game and loses, I reckon Matt Ryan leads that stat. Prescott would have to play better than he did last week as well. I don't think he was very good last week. But this could be, what are the unders-overs on this? 75 points? I'd be, if it was, you got good numbers, I'd be taking that.
Yeah, well, it's inside. It's not like the bloody weather's going to change the scoring. It's going to be an absolute score fest, I reckon. For me, the really interesting thing out of this game, and we'll probably go back to the difference between Fui's version of, oh my God, the officiating was so brilliant, and Blackie's version of.
I never said it was brilliant. I just said it was.
I'll play the audio back where you said it was brilliant. I might have to modify your voice a little bit, but I'll play it back.
Let's put that in the proper fan perspective. What has Fui got hold over the other three of us that he thinks the officiating was his team won?
Well, and also he watched the same damn game 6 times in a row on half speed. I mean, for me though, it is the litmus test because there's going to be so much passing, and to be frank, because the one area that both the Cowboys and the Falcons have genuine talent in is the receiving core. They both have absolute dynamite. I'll be really interested to see how CeeDee Lamb plays. Be really interested to see how Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup kind of adjust. If the receivers and the quarterbacks get their connections going, there'll be all kinds of receptions happening. But equally, the officials, because it's not the best set of corners in the world playing in this game. The officials have all kinds of opportunities to throw 37 flags for pass interference, and then you get the stats that look like there's been heaps of passing and heaps of catching, but actually it's all been flag driven. It's not even genuine passes and receptions. Blackie, question for you before we go to the last game that we wanted to preview. What the hell are the Bucs doing with the running game? Like, what the hell? It's like Rojo's just disappeared. I mean, obviously Brady is not going to run, right? But it's as if they've decided that Rojo can't run anymore. What are they doing?
They ran Rojo quite a bit. But, look, I don't know if it was what I probably suspect happened is they didn't want to put Fournette in because he probably isn't across the playbook, and therefore it telegraphs to the defense if he's in that it's a run play more than likely, because the last thing they want him to do is whiff on a blitz or whatever, and Brady ends up in the hospital. So he's probably going to get more involved.
Hang on, I got to disagree. Given his post-game comments, do you really think that was the thing that Bruce Arians was trying to avoid the most? From the post-game comments, it sounded like if Fournette missed a block and Tommy Boy's off to the hospital, Brucey's like rubbing his hands together and going, yeah, here we go.
I think making comments is different from a coach trying to put someone on IR like Gase did.
I'll match your call on the thing about Fournette with, I will just say, for me, the outstanding running back figure of the week, and much like Alden's return, how bloody good was Adrian Peterson? Lots and lots of history to him, and I'm not trying to pretend he's a perfect human being, but geez, it was nice to see him get in the field and just have a few runs, wasn't it?
Absolutely. He single-handedly finished Kerryon Johnson's career off.
You reckon? That's a big call.
I think DeAndre Swift actually will be remembered for that drop, but he actually looked pretty lively. Kerryon Johnson's injury prone, can't be relied on. I think it wouldn't surprise me if in the very near future it's Peterson 2 down and then Swift as the 3rd down back and getting a few carries here and there as well.
Until the pass needs to be caught. Am I being too harsh on Fournette when I say that I didn't think Fournette integrated well, Brash? Is that something that, because I couldn't work out at all what the hell the Bucs were doing with their running back, given how much talent they had there.
Is your question, has he been acclimatised and does he understand the Bucks offence, or Arians just doesn't call his number? Situational, and it's about a running back being put in a position to succeed. Are we doubting Fournette's calibre now?
For me, yeah, I am.
I'm not yet. Maybe his attitude. What we don't know yet is if he's committed to what Tampa Bay is trying to do, if he's bought into it, or it's just a paycheck.
Or did Brucey sign him to undermine Brady by underperforming until there's a different quarterback? I'm good at this conspiracy theory shit.
Yeah, but a little bit of you're not doing us conspiracy theorists any favors, mate, because some of your stuff is so out there. So, honestly, when Fournette signed, when Brady signed, and I missed for Gronk, okay, so I forgot to mention him in the dark side revelations with Belichick. But seriously, when Brady signed, and you said, oh shit, they got Fournette, who is only 4 years out of college, 3 years out of college, first round, high round draft pick, highest taken running back in recent times, most recent times.
Besides Barkley, yeah.
And
Barkley,
I thought Saquon was a little bit higher, but anyway.
But still in that caliber, right? And this is the age of you don't take running backs high. So he was considered, and nobody. Oh yeah, sure. Always people say you don't take running backs that high, but it wasn't a slight on Fournette. So he's got the talent. He has performed at various stages. It's a good pick up for Tampa Bay. If the Eagles, Packers, Broncos, or 49ers signed Fournette, would you be upset if it was on your roster? No, absolutely not. So I don't know whether it's climatization, trust, play calling. Arians can be a bit all over the place with his play calling sometimes. I think he outthinks himself. I'd give it another 2 or 3 weeks to make pass judgment on it.
Same.
You three are all gone soft.
But I would say the same with any judgment we're making over week one, because
So Rodgers probably sucks after all, yeah, right?
Well, according to you, Mohamed Sanu's gonna receive 200 yards and score 4 touchdowns for the 49ers this weekend.
Last game of the week that I wanted some comments on, and given I've gone out of my way to give so much negative comment about everybody else, I thought we'd finish on a slightly positive note. 2 of the younger teams that I think have done better than people expected. The football team travels to Arizona to play the Cardinals. Fui, because you're the quarterback whisperer, Dwayne Haskins or Kyler Murray?
Ooh.
Really?
Wait for the question. The question is interceptions and fumbles.
How many are we going to have this week? Or
No. What's the rule definition of Jesus Christ?
I think Kyler is probably at more risk of turning the ball over a bit more this week. I do agree with you that the football team are a very scary defensive line, and probably overall a better team defense at the moment. Both quarterbacks are, potentially very good. Murray probably slightly better at this point, but yeah, just that defensive line for the football team it could play a huge part, and they're going to be a big difference maker in this game.
I think interceptions, Haskins, and fumbles, Carson Wentz.
That's not fair, because if he'd been part of the question, we all know he'd be sacks, fumbles, interceptions, and just general
Injuries.
Boneheaded plays. Oh, injuries. He's like, he'll be the season leader by the end of next week. I mean, Blackie, come on. You must have more insight than that. That was just pathetic.
Oh, I think it's clear that there will be less pass rush from the football team than there was last weekend.
Really? Do you think the Cardinals have that good an O-line? Because I'm going to take you up on that.
I think it'll be the game plan.
Really?
Yep, and I suspect it isn't going to be 15 receptions to Hopkins, because I suspect that they'll probably double team him. So it's going to be Christian Kirk or L. Fitz getting the job done.
And I guess as probably the person that was most invested in the Cardinals' performance in week one, Brash, do you agree? Do you reckon Blackie's got it? Because that's an interesting analysis. I hadn't really sort of thought about it that way. Is the Cardinals' offensive line really solid enough to defend against a really good defensive line?
You talk about what their offensive line's going to be able to do game plan scheme-wise as well. When they've just played the 49ers, that have a stacked defensive line, and Washington either has as good at or at least a developing one, and you want to compare their defensive lines against Cardinals' offensive line and the Eagles' offensive line, that's what you're basically asking. And what I'm saying to you is that the Cardinals will do enough scheme-wise to keep Kyler Murray upright, because he is just a frustrating quarterback if you're a defense, because he's short, he's very fast, and he's a baseballer, so he knows how to slide. He gets down, and the key to being a great baseball slider is you get down quickly late. And don't be surprised if you see another handful of unnecessary roughness penalties again against Washington, because, it's my point before, he may fumble it, but it'll be called back on an unnecessary roughness, right? Because the way referees are calling this basically touch them on surrendering. He's not a 6'4", lumbering 220-pound quarterback who takes 3 seconds like Brady. And for years I've been watching with joy Cam Newton get belted every time he goes to slide, and never see a flag in a million years. The hiding that guys like Cam Newton have copped over the years. And then I see this guy has a 300-pound defensive lineman coming down on him, gets to the ground so quickly, and because the defensive lineman's got nowhere else to go, because if he balks, Murray keeps running.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. That's the thing that they've got to understand. What they need to do is a few of these defensive ends in a blowout, let him keep running, and then just go to the league and say, you're going to let this stupidity keep going? Because someone's going to tattoo him. There was one unnecessary roughness penalty called against a 300-pound defensive lineman on the weekend when Murray slid head first. Seriously? And there's a difference between going in with a head, leading with a helmet or a shoulder, and just, doing your best to hurdle the guy and you make contact as he comes down. Yeah. So to answer your question, I think Murray's got the deck so stacked in his favour, it's not funny over Haskins when it comes to the criteria that you're asking to see who's going to perform better on this weekend.
Well, I think one thing that's probably getting lost in this O-line analysis is two different quarterbacks can make an offensive line look markedly different. I saw it personally last year with Flacco, who is probably a bigger statue than Wentz is. Zero pocket presence, zero moving around the pocket, just generates sacks. Whereas someone who's got a bit of toe keeps the defense honest. You actually have to set the edge. I think that makes life a lot harder, and also the quick release as well. And Kyle is pretty short as well. I think he'd probably be pretty easy to lose him behind that line if you're blitzing. In all honesty,
absolutely. We joke about that, and the thing with Murray is he's never standing right. So when you got a defensive end, he's aiming to get to a certain spot to where the quarterback's going to do his drop back, whether it be 3, 5, 7-step drops, whatever it is. With Murray, he's all over the place, same as Wilson, and those guys have developed into those sort of quarterbacks for the exact reason Blackie just said. They can't see over the top of their offensive linemen, so there actually is much ducking and weaving so they can see the gaps in the helmets on where they've got to throw downfield. Mate, you think I'm joking? He's 5'10" and he has 6'10" linemen in front of him. So
it's all about the extra 10 inches of height, Phil. Don't take that the wrong way.
And that's what that's the way they play. They play this schoolyard unscripted thing, and it's just really hard to defend against. And the defense you normally have is you tattoo the guy and he doesn't do it again. Well, the officials have made quarterbacks, sacrilege to even touch them. So those guys are going to evolve more and more. They made a terrible comparison during the commentary of the 49ers Cardinals game. It reminds me of Steve Young. Really? Steve Young used to run down the field with no helmet on and getting coat hangered and still would run. I never saw any flags being thrown in those days.
Back when there was dinosaurs to throw the flag. I'm not going to ask about the Broncos because we all know they're going to suck. I'm not going to ask about the Packers because, let down city. Everybody knows that the Eagles are just going to get absolutely trampled. Mark my words, Wentz has 6 quarters left for the year.
6. All right, so we're talking. So let's put this into the record books. So for the third quarter of Game 3, Hurst will be the quarterback.
Or Sudfeld. I'm not gonna be so stupid as to predict the inane. I mean, for Christ's sake, they probably could try to sign Brett Favre out of retirement. The way things are going, I don't know. They'll try to outsmart themselves, but someone else will be starting for the Eagles by halftime on week 3. My call, and not because they've dumped Wentz, but because he's hurt. I mean, if he takes the pounding that he took from that young Washington team. If he cops that again from Aaron Donald will be lining up against one or both of Nate Herbig or Joe Ostrom. Here's a hint. Neither one of those people could stop Brasher or Blackie running for the fridge for a beer, let alone Aaron Donald. It's going to be ugly.
Come on, mate. That's a pretty devastating analogy you try to draw parallel to. Are you calling me and Blackie soft?
You know, the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line at the moment is likely to go, oh, look at that pigeon. Oh, it's a pretty bird. Oh, Carson, how are you? Oh. Anyway, we've finished with the Eagles, not talking about that. And the Packers will be brought crushingly back to earth. And the 49ers, well...
we're gone. Rebuilding.
Is this going to be I mean, if you lose to the Jets, in all seriousness, Brash, if you lose to the Jets and the Broncos again, if you and the Broncos lose, the only thing that could make that worse would be if you two lost to me and BFFL. Look at the projected score totals.
What are the projected?
Yeah, 10-point favourite, aren't you, BPG?
9, actually, but maths was never your strong point, being a Hawthorn supporter.
9 point. We're the favourites.
Yeah.
How many points they got projected? Garoppolo's going to get. I tell you now, Garoppolo will get way more than 15.
Seabert's got a projection of 0.
Hey, at least he's not a free agent.
I think we need to put Debo onto IR and bring someone in.
Yeah, I think we need to bring Debo. And I think we need to scan the waiver wire for a new defence. I don't think we want to go up against.
I'll trade you Washington's defence for... Actually, I'll trade you Washington's defence for Kittle.
You're a good man.
Yeah.
So, how are we going to go there, boys? Do you believe the projections where you're there?
No, I don't. I think we'll win by much more than 9.
No, I don't. Even carrying Siebert with his -1 point contribution, we should be good. I can't believe he missed an extra point. Seriously? I thought, fuck, how good are the giblets look? When I saw that, it was the first thing I saw when I checked. I thought, I better check. We've got a team running. Our contribution from defence and our kicker was -1 point.
And yet you're leaving the same defence and the same kicker in.
We've got our team selection meeting tonight.
Oh, okay. No wonder Blackie's under the pump. He's got to spend 3 hours.
Mate, I've got to scan the waiver wire first to find a defence.
Well,
I'm making the move now.
Yeah, but anyway,
this podcast is going to be ugly by next week. Ugly.
No, I'm happy. We're building for something. We're fine. We only have to get into the playoffs. That's all we have to do.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right, dude. Have a good week. Take care. Bye.